everyone. I hope you are staying well and for this during this difficult time. Uh, so, since we cannot meet in person this year, our gathering, I want to say a few words to how to cope with these difficult times. It will be a very short one, okay? Because I don't want to make it's long to bore yourself, okay? So one thing I want to take is the first thing that we have to deal with the problem is to see the reality, be realistic. Don't be kind of exaggerate or superimposed or superficial kind of way. If you live like that, then your kind of problem will become a bigger, and so that's not good. So it's very important to be realistic, okay? Good is good, bad is bad, whatever that is, to look from realistic point of view. So for that, if you look our life, these things, the pandemics did not come from nowhere, or it comes from somewhere right away, not like that. It comes from many causes and conditions that we even noticed, and most of these problems conditions are created by us. So it's if you look very carefully, our life is a very fragile. It looks like our life is very strong. We are very strong, but if you look very carefully, we don't need a bomb to fall on our head to kill us. Even these small virus can destroy whole world. How much they make us problem. So that's why we cannot guarantee our life. We have a plan to live this year, that year, decades, but who knows whether we will see tomorrow first or next life first. So that's why it's very important to live. There's nothing, nobody can guarantee our lives. So anybody can. Even the things that we consider is that they help us to survive, like food, medicine, friend, money. These are considered to be our facilities. But sometimes these also kill us. So that's why we cannot guarantee our life. Third thing is, everything has an end. Not only ourselves, our happiness, our day-to-day life, but this whole world has an end. One day, this world will be disappeared. And in Tibetan Buddhism, we say there's a many different ways the world can be disappeared. So this century or this aeon or this world will be, we say now, destroyed by the fire. So that's why I think it's even this world looks like a very, very strong, can be destroyed. Then of course our human life can be destroyed easily. So, and not only that, on top of our regular sort of that natural disasters, many of our human problems are created by human ourselves. Look at the animals. Animals looks like they are unfortunate. Humans are much better, but we look, if when it comes to mental problem, human beings have a more mental problem than animals. So these are all created by human beings. So that's why we have to take care of ourselves. So these are the kind of problems that we face. Either it's a big problem like this kind of pandemic or regular problem. So we have to know that we are in a big problem, suffering. So now the question comes, how to solve these problems? When this problem comes, how to get rid of this? So one of the great Indian saints said, every problem, whether it's a major problem or the minor problem, it can be include in two problems. There's no third problem, okay? Every problem or the suffering that can be either can be solved or cannot be solved. If your problem comes in the category of that you can solve, then there's no need to be be a worry or unhappy. Instead, you can take care of it. That's it. If your problem comes in the category of cannot be solved, then there's no benefit of worry or not. It will not solve that. It will come anyway. So that's why most of these problems are solvable. It has a remedy. It can be solved. So that's why it's very important, instead of become worried and unhappy, try to see where this problem comes from and try your best to solve the problem. Okay. So to solve the problem, it's very important to look from the holistic way. If you look from a very narrow-minded way, then you cannot see whole picture. If you don't see whole picture, then you cannot solve the problem. So that's why the holistic mind is a very, very important. Holistic or realistic way approach is very important. And also the solution, actual solution is the best way to solve is the problem is both way. One way through externally. How can what we can do to solve this problem, but through external means. And if that cannot be solved through external means, then you have to think, okay, how to now, if this problem comes, how do I control myself to not to maximize this kind of problem? How to try to solve the problem, minimize the problem by applying the spiritual kind of attitudes. So these are the two ways. Okay. And other thing is that whenever we have a problem, it's very important to get together. Everyone come together and then solve the problem. If you say it's not my problem, it's their problem, Indian problem, American problem, Chinese problem, it's not mine. If you say that, then it cannot solve. Our world is very much interdependent. So that's why this kind of pandemic, it shows very clearly. It comes from it born in China, but now it destroys here and in America. So that's why whole worlds are very much dependent on each other. So that's why when the problem comes, everybody should come together and decide, make a kind of discuss and then solve the problem. Okay. Now one of the most effective way to solve the problem is either from modern education or technology or through spiritual practice. So many of these physical problems can be solved through the modern education or modern technology, but there's many other problems. People are unhappy during this kind of pandemic is because they're not physically unhappy, but mentally they are very disturbed. They feel lonely. They feel anxiety, frustration, and a lot of those things. So these problems cannot be solved by technology or the physical. It can be solved through only from physical way. So that's why we say live meaningful way. There is a problem. If it's the 10% problem, don't multiple it and take it as 100%. So that can, if you do, and that destroy yourself. Okay. So that's why live meaningful life is very, very important. So learn from this. How to do the meaningful life is learn from this pandemic. Don't look only the negative side of these problems. When you see the negative side of this problem, try to see how to solve the problem, and then don't worry. And on top of that, you see what I can take advantages from this negative situation and try to kind of create very, very kind of healthy kind of learn something from this kind of problem. So one of the biggest for long term, one of the best way or the solution is compassion. Always we should be live in very compassion and help other people, whole society, because these are met by human mistakes. So that's why to take care of, don't be too selfish and try to take care of everyone and look from wider perspective and be compassionate. That's very important. That can be done through practice called meditation. So sometimes don't engage that to transform everything externally to make you happy. External change can only make you fulfill or comfort your physical things, five senses, but they cannot comfort your mental senses. So mental senses, the meditation is a very, very important. So for that, it's very important to kind of combine the modern education, and the best way to solve this problem is combine the modern education and ancient or spiritual practice, inner practice. So this can, if you look that way, even the world is in big problem, but you in that big problem, you will live very happy and it will not disturb a lot. So that's why each and every day, please think globally and act locally and be happy and think, and be relaxed and try to help other if possible. If you cannot help other, please at least don't harm other. So most time we should think that all of these problems are come from human mistakes. So that's why we should now think how to take care of how to use our knowledge, how to use our wisdom to build some compassionate society, not a bombs. And our education teaches how to make a bomb and kind of guns and these material progress. If we use our whole education system to transform externally, and if you don't use to transform to our anger, transform our jealousy, transform our greed, there will be no any kind of happiness on the planet. So that's why education must be supported to kind of develop our inner peace and inner quality. Okay, thank you very much, and hope this will help you a little bit. Okay, thank you. That's all I have to say.